Before we get started, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. This is a 100% crit status build that does not use crit status. Why doesn't it use crit status? Because Zora Magdaros armor sucks.
You're tacky and I hate you.
And more than that, it's because this build isn't about doing the most paralysis you can and then getting some damage in. It's about doing the most damage you can with a bit of paralysis. That's what hammer paralysis is. Now, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, I present to you my take on paralysis hammer. My take on hammer in general, as this is just my favorite hammer build that I have. It is the 100% crit paralysis hammer. You may notice I like crits. This build is super competitive. It basically has all of the effectiveness of a regular paralysis hammer build, but with the added bonus 100% crit, which just makes it super fun and lets you look into different avenues of play, including significant usefulness in multiplayer, because when you paralyze something in multiplayer, everybody gets to beat on it for the full duration. A bit later I'm going to be showing the main build, but first we will start with the budget version of the build. The reason that this is a budget version of the build is because the main build requires 7 critical eye jewels, and this is where I'd put my critical eye jewels. If I had one! This build is also sort of a training wheels build, as it comes with the earplugs, which just makes it easier to play, as you don't even have to think about the roars. However, if you have a Rocksteady mantle, you basically just have full earplugs for the duration of the Rocksteady mantle, and this build is capable of killing most things within the duration of Rocksteady. It's only past Rocksteady timer that the earplugs even matter. Now, the first and best way to talk about this build is the hammer itself. It's the Kulve Taroth version of the great Juros hammer, Melody's Fist. Now, why are you using the Kulve Taroth hammer over the regular one when they're almost identical? Well, Melody's Fist being a rare 6 hammer has 3 augment slots, compared to the Kulve Taroth version being rare 7, meaning it has 2. However, the Kulve Taroth version starts with 10% higher crit at 30%, which means that your affinity augment will bring it up to 40%. Leading to the Kulve hammer more efficiently reaching higher affinity. It can still be achieved with the regular Juros hammer, Melody's Fist, much less efficiently, with 2 more crit eye jewels instead of some para attack jewels, which sort of gimps the paralysis side of things. What skills are in the build before you add all the jewels I won't have? 5 Handicraft, worth 30 hits of white sharpness with either the Kulve or the regular hammer. White sharpness being 12% higher damage than blue sharpness, and 30 hits being pretty much all you'll need on a hammer for a single area. 4 earplugs. I know a lot of people are divided on this, but I stand firmly in the camp of I do not need this. However, with the way that this build is constructed, you have enough free space and free slots to maneuver it in there, and at that point, why would you not? It's just free damage. Because no matter how good you think you are, and you think you can roll through every roar under the sun, rolling through a roar is still a loss of damage uptime, because undeniably, when you are fighting Basilgeuse, he will eventually roar 4 times in a row. God, fucking, I hate those. Oh my god, another one? 3, are you fucking kidding me? Ah! 2 ranks of stun resistance, which is just sort of a free bonus that we won't say no to, because why would we? 2 weakness exploit, because weakness exploit is so important in pretty much every build in the game that isn't crit draw. And 1 critical boost, which comes for free on the Kulve Taroth chest. If you wanted to, I'm going to spoil you a little bit. You can switch to the Alpha chest, which has 1 more crit boost and 1 less level 3 jewel slot, because you may or may not be putting a crit boost jewel in there anyways. So if you don't have the crit boost jewelage, you can just do that. Now, what jewels will I have to put in that I definitely do not have? You'll need to put in a crit boost jewel, or not if you're using the Alpha Kulve Taroth chest, as I just said, because crit boost is just the most important damage skill for this build. All of your attacks crit, so therefore all of your attacks have 5% more damage per rank. 1 Tenderizer Jewel, giving you full weakness exploit, which will mean that you will now have a total of 90% affinity when attacking a weak spot, combined with the 30% base on the hammer with the crit augment for 10%, that's 90%. An Earplugs Jewel, bringing you to rank 5 earplugs, because you need rank 5 earplugs for endgame farm if you're going to be using earplugs at all. 3 Critical Eye Jewels. Now this is where it differs from the other build mainly, is because you need so many less. The other one has 7, this one has 3. 3 gives you 10%, for a total of 100% crit. That is where all of the crit comes from, mathematically proven. 2 paralysis attack jewels. These are extremely useful in multiplayer as the thresholds are much higher. However, in single player, you can definitely get away without them. You can still use them if you'd like to, might get another paralysis, might not, but you can replace them with vitality jewels in single player, which just makes you a little bit tankier. This has a little bit of synergy with the health augment that you should be using as your second augment on the hammer, as health regen is just sort of ridiculous as an augment and will keep you alive through so much chip damage and keep you in the fight so much longer without having to drink a potion. Now, as you may have noticed in the background, this build is at least capable of killing Nergi in 3 minutes. This is what I was capable of achieving with my limited skill set and my lack of having the build complete due to jewels. Tinkleberg! However, I still managed to hit 3 minutes on the quest time, which makes this build very competitive, especially when you consider the fact that it wasn't built to speedrun Nergi. But now it's time for something of unparalleled beauty. Because of all the decorations required, I call this the Family Jewels build. Undoubtedly more effective than the other build, for the simple reason it has higher paralysis attack, it has higher base attack. The only major downside is that you lose earplugs, if you consider that a major downside, because it just doesn't have room for earplugs. I mean, earplugs is nice to have for this, but it's not necessary by any means at all. What skills does the Family Jewels set come with base? Well, the base set nets you 3 paralysis attack, which we've gone over the usefulness of paralysis attack with paralysis hammer. It just gives you more paralysis, which is really good. 3 free element, which is very necessary with the Baroth hammer, as the Baroth hammer's element is hidden. It doesn't have paralysis without the 3 free element, so you gotta get that in there. 2 stun resistance. Once again, this comes sort of free. We'll take it. 2 weakness exploit. We've already explained the goodness of weakness exploit. 2 maximum might. Now this is where it gets a little tricky because maximum might is sort of weird for the hammer. As with the hammer, you do a lot of rolling, and when you charge up your attacks, you also use stamina. But with good management, you can keep it about 90% uptime, which is more than enough to have it active for your big bang combos, or even your golf swings if you're good with it. So just, manage your stamina. Be a man, or a woman, whatever you want to be to manage your stamina. One little bonus handicraft that we get just from freeing our elements, and 1 crit boost, or 2 if you're using the Alpha Culptorath just in sort of the beta as we've already talked about. Jewels. 2 crit boost, or 1 if you're using the Alpha Culptorath chest. Haha! 1 weakness exploit, getting you around to 3, which will get you 50% crit, which is very important. 7 critical eye jewels. Now this is the reason that this build is not the budget build, because it requires 7 of a specific jewel. Even though it's a rare 6 jewel, it's still completely unreasonable to expect anyone to have 7 of the same jewel even at rare 6. Like, it's just unreasonable. I've been specifically farming for decorations, like only doing tier 2 investigations for 4 days. And I mean like a good 8+ hours a day. And I got 2 critical eye jewels, which puts me up to 3. Because the desire sensor is a bitch. Doesn't matter how many rank 6 face stones I get, because they always turn into a piece of shit. Now you may notice there's still 1 level 1 jewel slot left, and we might as well just stick a stun res jewel in there, get ourselves to 3 stun resistance, and you don't have to worry about stuns ever, because it just seems like the most reasonable way to use a single slot based on the stats we already have. Want some more maths? Baroth hammer starts at negative 10% affinity. You put an affinity augment on there to make it 0%. Weakness exploit gets you another 50% when you're attacking weak spots, with maximum might getting you another 20% when you are at full stamina. That's 70%. Then you've got 7 rings of critical eye for 30% crit, putting you to 100%. What do you do if you don't have 7 critical eye jewels? You go into a corner and cry like me. Or if you don't want to cry, you could get some vitality jewels to make you a little bit more tanky, or you could get some attack jewels in there just to up your attack. Those are the 2 options. You can either go defense or offense with your replacements. You won't be 100% crit, but you'll be real close, and you'll still be pretty effective. This build, again, as you may have noticed, again, in the background, again, can make Nergigante limp in 1 minute and 45 seconds. It would kill him around 2.5 minutes if he didn't get away from the limping, because I'm bad and made him get away, but it's also still the incomplete build. As I said, I do not have 7 critical eye jewels, Tinkleberg, which means I'm not taking perfect advantage of the crit boost, which simply means that this isn't the finished build, and it's still able to kill him in around 2.5 minutes with my playing badly and incomplete build, as a combination of things. Now that I've given you 2 very effective, very fun hammer builds, I must give you some warnings. There are side effects of using the hammer, and these side effects may include motion sickness, wanting to hit things in the face really hard, bulging forearms, shrinkage of brain, memory loss, wanting to hit things in the face really hard, bulging forearms, shrinkage of brain, memory loss, and wanting to hit things in the face really hard. Now, bring these builds out into the world. Show the Monster Hunter community that you are the best at wielding a large weapon with mega crits, with the paralysis added bonus, and the stopping of the monsters in their tracks by hitting them in the face really hard. Please just hit them in the face really hard. That's all I want. Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, these have been the 100% crit paralysis builds, the budget family build. Disclaimer, never call your family a budget family, they won't like it. And the family jewels build. Both of these builds, very effective. Both of these builds, you should use. But until next time, stay sweet.